Let's talk about drawing automation. And first of all what is automation in the first place? So automation is a mechanism that helps us automate any parameter we wish to move in time, to change through time, so that our songs would be more interesting, so that we would have an evolving change throughout our song. Setting some parameter at a certain value and leaving it at that is fine for some parameters, but very often we want parameters to move as the song evolves. So how would we do that? How would we automate a parameter? Well, let's find something worth automating. Let's say that this drum loop that we have right here, let me play that a bit. Okay, so we have a drum loop made out of various drum hits, even loops, slices of loops, and such, and they are all within this drums group. So all of that is routed through this drums group. And let's say I went on and put a filter on top of that. So now I have a filter on top of this group. Let's say that's a low pass filter. So I could apply this filter throughout this group. Let me show you practically what I want to happen. So let's say I wanted that change at some point in this song, let's say somewhere near this ending. So if I wanted to automate that parameter, make some sort of automation for it, the easiest way to do that would be looking at this lane of that groove track. I could just move that parameter, and once I do that, you would see this line moving up and down, and you would see that that parameter, the frequency, is actually displayed right there. So it says auto filter from all the effects we have here. We have an H comp, stereo, that's that one. Then we have an auto filter, that's this. And then we have a mixer. And we can choose anything we want to automate from the mixer. So tracks panning, this. So we could automate the panning or anything we wished. But put it more simply, in Ableton, anything you touch last is going to be shown as the parameter right here on the channel. So if I touch this frequency, that's what I'm going to be shown. I'm going to be shown the level and the value of that parameter I just touched and maybe even moved. So now I see that frequency. So I want to keep that frequency at 26 Hertz, so at the minimum value, so that I'm not filtering this beat at all. And then at some point, I want it to start rising and go back again. I can do that simply by just clicking somewhere on this line, let's say right here before the ending, and then clicking again. I'm making points along this automation line, and I can move those points. So now the parameter has a little red square, meaning that it's automated. It's following automation. It's not free anymore. So it's going to be following this line to the letter. And if I move it, then it's not following the automation anymore. And that automation that I made for it is grayed out. So I could always right-click and say re-enable automation. This is what we do for any parameter. Let me play this part of the song and show you what the drums are going to do with this filter. So I'm going to lower this just a tiny bit. Okay, let's do that. Nice. So I did that. I automated this parameter. The problem comes right here when I touch another parameter like volume. Now my automation is gone. Where is it? How do I get to it? Well, I can always click the parameter and get it back. Or I can just choose from the drop-down menu. I could choose that auto filter and then choose the frequency, which, as you see, is marked that it's automated. So if I ever went out, I could always see if there is any automation in any of these. And as we see, our auto filter has automation. It's marked. And then within all the parameters that we have from this auto filter, and this is all of them listed right here, I see that frequency is automated, so I can choose it and go back to this. Now, to avoid this happening and always searching for the automation that we made, because this might not be the only automation we have on this track, on the drums group channel, I could just click this plus symbol right here on the track, and my automation is going to get a lane in the sequencer, get the lane of its own, and it's always going to stay there. So if I close this group, okay, I'm not going to see it, but once I open it, it's right there. If I touch volume, it's going to be shown. If I touch this resonance, it's going to be shown right there. I can see it, but I'm never losing track of my automated parameter ever again. So having that said, if I wanted to have this piece of automation happen again somewhere throughout the song, let's say in this part of the song, I could just select it this way. Just click and drag, select it, right click, copy, and then I could, let's say, mark right here, make a mark by clicking, right click, say paste. Boom, it's there. Now I can even drag that automation left and right. See that? Because all of these three dots are selected. If I select them like this, I can just move them, let's say right there, and then move this dot only to the end. Now I have the same effect happening, let's say right here. Let's hear that with the whole song. So as you can hear, we are getting the desired effect. I really like this. So if I wanted to just copy that somewhere else, I could actually just copy it as I shown you. Right click, copy. I could even cut that automation and move it somewhere else like that. So I could cut, copy, paste, all the standard processes. I could even duplicate this automation. So if I selected, let's say, 4 of these like that, and just went on and duplicated, and as you see, we do have all of the shortcuts, the standard shortcuts for cut, copy, paste, and the duplicate one too, Control D. Please learn all the shortcuts you can as fast as you can. It's going to help you immensely to work faster in any software. So I can just select this and do some duplication by clicking Control D, like that. Right click, duplicate, right click, duplicate. You see, I could just copy this all over my project if I wanted to. So an easy way to make automation is just by clicking anywhere on the line, making a dot, and then moving it, and making another one, moving it. And as you've seen, I could, of course, copy, paste, do anything else with it. Now, what if I wanted to automate another parameter in here? So let's say I wanted to do something else on top of this. Let me see. Let's do some Redux. This is a bit crusher. And we're going to downsample this beat. So let's see. Right now, it's supposed to be clean. Let's hear that. Okay, so now I want to do some automation to this parameter. Now, the best practice is to click, move it. Now I have identified it. The best practice is to click, move it. Now it's identified. It's really shown right there. Just click plus, and it has its own lane. Now I can play with it without the fear of clicking something else and losing track of it. Of course, let me undo this. Control Z is undo. So I'm going to undo all the steps I took. Okay, so no more Redux. I'm going to add that Redux again and show you what else I could do to reach that automation for Redux. So I could actually, from this menu, search for that effect, let's say Redux, from the upper drop-down menu, and on the lower one, I will have all of the parameters in this Redux that I could automate. So it's bit on, and that's this button, on and off, see? And then it's bit tapped, that's this knob. So that's bit tapped. Then we have sample mode, which is this, hard or soft, like that. Then we have sample hard, sample soft. So we can choose it like that and move this hard or this soft. Just a moment. Once we switch to soft, we can move it. So it's a separate parameter. I have chosen the parameter I want to automate by just clicking it, moving it. It's right there. So click plus. It has its own lane. I'm never going to lose it. And I can do the same thing with that parameter right here. So let's automate that too. For that to happen at the end of this beat. Just like that. Not as much. Let's say like that. Let's hear that. I like this. Well, I'm going to leave this for my song, but the main picture you can get from this is automation is something that serves you to move any parameter through time so that you can have a dynamic change in your production. Now, aside of having any parameter like this automated linearly, as you can see, all of these can be enlarged as such so that we can make this automation more precisely written. But all of these changes are linear. So this automation is going linearly from this dot to this dot right there, from point to point in a straight line. Now, if we wanted to make it not such a straight line, I could add more points and make it bendy like that. But I can undo, Control Z like that. And then I could actually click Alt, hold Alt on my keyboard. And once I go near this line with my mouse, you see that the cursor changes by having this small little curve underneath it. So now once I go close to it, I can hold Alt, click, and drag up and down, up and down. See that? So it becomes nonlinear, becomes logarithmic, or exponential, of course. So we get this, as you can see it. And now we can make this change a bit more funky. Let's try that. Nice, I like that a lot. So having this changed in such a way is applying a small amount of the effect at the beginning, but as it progresses, as it reaches the culmination, it really goes out of hand. So it goes more and more to the max the more it approaches the culmination point. And more often than not, you will want automations drawn just like that. So holding Alt and coming close to the line that we want to make, straight or not, and just clicking and pulling up and down would make our automation not linear. Now we can make the automation not linear and then just move the dot and it will stay bent just like that. So to summarize, to find an automation for a parameter, we can go through the menu, and on the menu of each track, we have, as a default, mixer values. Inside mixer values, we have speaker on and off, and that's this value right here once we turn on and off the channel. So if we play this song in its entirety, and I just click this number 1 symbol, the on-off. So I do not hear that channel if it's clicked off, so I can automate that parameter. Inside the mixer also we have the panning, we have the volume of the track, we have the X-fade assign, and it's the one that we seen right here, the crossfader assignment, A or B. So we can automate that too, you saw that in lessons before. And we also have the synths, so we can automate this send or this send, the amount of the send. We can do that simply by just clicking on it, and that parameter is going to be shown to us right here, so we can choose to do that. Let's add this sending parameter. Let's do that too, so you can hear what that sounds like. Okay, more and more into the reverb. Let's hear it. That's it, plain and simple. So we can either choose a parameter from the drop-down menu by choosing what parameter where the parameter belongs actually. So does it belong to an effect like the H-comp stereo that we have, autofilter, redux, any of the effects in the insert rack of this track, or the mixer, and being a default parameter right here, and then just selecting it, drawing it, done. I implore you to use this technique where any automation parameter you want to make, I implore you to use this technique where every parameter you want to automate, you immediately click this plus symbol and you get a new lane for it. I think it's the best way to actually keep your automations visible all the time for yourself. So once you open this channel, you will immediately see that it has some automation on it and which ones were actually moved so that you not ever wonder what's happening with them. Another really important thing to know is that once we automate something, like say this reverb, if we move that reverb value that we automated, it's not active anymore, as I've shown you just before in the beginning of this lesson. So it's not active no more. And if we wanted to reactivate it, now it's just going to stay at the level we set. So it's not going to move. It will not follow automation anymore. Let me play it for you. See, it's not moving. It's not following the automation no more. So now we can just right click and say re-enable automation. So if you automate something, it's immediately set to follow automation throughout the entire track. There is no chance for you to move it unless you want it to stop following that automation. And then right-click, re-enable. You could, if your automation is not listed and something else is being shown, you could right-click the parameter and say show automation or show automation in a new lane. And it would add a new lane just as if you pressed plus once it's being shown right there. So many more options that you can take to actually do something with it. Now, if I moved more than one parameter that was automated, just like this, and it stopped being automated, you see all of these that were marked to be automated, now they're not, and the automation is grayed out to show us that it's not being followed. Now, if I wanted to re-follow all of those, imagine that the entire song I had to go through every parameter, right-click and say re-enable automation. That would be too much work. We have this arrow right here, up here in the transport bar. We have this arrow, and once we click that arrow, it's going to re-enable automation for any parameter that stopped following it. Like this, and it's done. So this concludes the main functionalities of automation and how to use it.